Uncle Adam. So,
1 second.
the actual have you ever been in a movie? All right, ready?
Hi, I'm Uncle Adam, and I run Tabletop Minions, a channel about the wargaming hobby and miniatures, mostly.
Uncle Adam, so, we're a company that makes a lot of paints.
It's true.
And if you had to pick one tool, you would have thought that it would have been a paint, but it wasn't. As your top tool, what is your top tool?
Yeah, no. My top tool is the Battlefield Rocks,
Yeah.
which sounds like a statement, but it's not. It's actually just a thing, and it's a little plastic tub full of not rocks. They're actually tiny little pieces of cork. And I found these at a local shop years ago, and they're little pieces of cork, and sometimes they're big ones and sometimes they're little ones. I use them for basing, I use them on terrain. The bigger ones are like bigger rocks, the little ones are littler ones, and it's just a convenient spot to get cork. Sure, you could take a bunch of corks and bust them apart or whatever, but this is a lot easier for me. If you want a rock that looks like it's sunk into the mud, you just take a chunk of that stuff, this is not to scale, but you just take a chunk of it and you just sort of cut it like diagonally, and now you have two pieces that you could just glue to the base, and they look like they're kind of coming up out of the mud. But there's also, in most of these boxes, there's always little tiny ones too, which you can use. When I do my urban bases, I always want to make it look like there's rubble. Like, you're standing in a parking lot and a building has exploded over there, and now there's like rubble and things. And I don't know what kind of cork it's made out of, but it's got a lot of striations in some spots, which is really cool and makes it look sometimes even almost a little bit more architectural. If you want to go really hard and make really sculptural, interesting bases, the Battlefield Rocks, you can really get a lot of stuff in there, or you can go as kind of simple or minimalist if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's open it up because I want to see how you actually go about cutting it, because I think that I do a similar thing. Go ahead and pick a rock that looks good to you, or a piece of cork that looks good to you.
What I generally like to do is just find a nice decent size. Like, this is a really nice one and it's got a decent shape to it, and sometimes I'll end up cutting it maybe like this way, so I get a longer piece, but I could also cut it this way to get more of a taller but kind of piece like that. And then I just usually, it's very important not to cut yourself.
Yes.
Just very quickly do that. And now you have two tiny little rocks that you can just glue down to a base. And very frequently what I do is if I'm looking for like one on the base, the other one just goes back in there. And then the ones that are very frequently like way down on the bottom here, those can be really small, and so you can use those as a little rubble and things like that.
So I actually do a very similar process to you. Like I'll cut them in half because they look like they're sunken in a bit. I'll actually take some additional glue, and I might take some of the brown battleground that we have. So it's a little bit smaller, a little bit tight. So it adds a different textural and scale element to the base. And then I like to take, and Thomas taught me this, so you take our snow flock, you mix it in with a paint and use that almost like a texture paint.
Yeah.
And it ties it all together, but you get some interesting disparity in the level and size of the rocks on the base.
Yeah, I don't want to usually have a lot of the same rock size over and over again. Like on a base this size, I wouldn't necessarily just be like, oh, there's two rocks, that's good. Kind of getting through there and sort of figuring out how to have the variety and the different textures of basing makes them look, I think, a little bit more natural. But it's still also really easy to do, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
I think that's what makes this product so nice, is that it's easy to use and it's easy to replicate. So when you are expanding from your small little war band to a larger regiment or army, you have it right there. If you run out of it, it's on the shelf. It's going to be the same scale, the same stuff. You don't have to go foraging through your yard to, you know what I mean, to find all of the things that you've already picked through. It's all right there, easy to buy from your local game store.
Yeah,
I think that's a great tip. Thanks, Adam.
absolutely.